All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, listen, Linda, listen to me, listen to me. So I had an experience with the guy, and it brought this to mind, what I'm gonna share with you here. Because some people think that, they can just get it without going through the process. And I'm talking about be blessed and be highly anointed and all this without going through the process. You cannot jump and skip over steps to get the things that God wants to have you to have. You can't jump over this process. Um, in this, you're gonna have two looks, and this is what we got going on right now. You have Christ, which shows you very clearly in His Word what He stands for and the process, what it is. Christ is shown very clearly, without error, no mistakes, fine-tuned. It is with the utmost of intelligence, spirituality, with everything. He did it through Jesus. Jesus is our blueprint. Jesus is our map. So I'm saying that to say this, because some people feel like, well, they say, well, Joe, he got it. And, it looked like he didn't have to go through this and didn't have to go through that. And it may appear as if Joe does have it. And that would be somewhat like me seeing which I haven't talked to you all about yet, but I'm going to, about the Antichrist. Because the Antichrist, we look at it as a monster or something like that, the devil with horns and all. That's not the Antichrist. The Antichrist is just somebody that's anti what Christ was and who He is. But what they do is they present themselves as if they are Christ. See, the anti is against, but the last name is critical because the last name is Christ. So in other words, they're saying that I'm not going to be like you, but I want to look like you. Okay. So I had a guy, because, I have my own business, and, I do things here and there. And I was trying to groom a guy to follow in my footsteps. And I was telling him what it cost me to get to where I am right now. And I said, listen, you went to 12 years of school. If you finished high school, I said, you did 12 years and I did another 12 years outside of that. And I've gotten degree after degree after degree. Not only that, as I was going through an apprenticeship, I went through an apprenticeship, whereas the journeyman that was on the job, they told me, get over here, son, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I did that without complaining, and I did it without pay. We live in a day now to where I am actually trying to get people, and I got to beg people to come, and there's a handsome salary, or there's a handsome wage that is attached to what I do and what I'm offering. So I had this guy that I was, bringing along, putting him under my wing, and we were, navigating through this whole thing. And so I told him my story a little bit, and I said, you just can't get here just looking at me. I said, now you see my glory, but you don't know my story. Cliche, right? And so he listened to me, and he rode with me for a little bit. And I always had a heart for men, and this was a guy that had been institutionalized for a while, but he was a good dude. But he was raised as an orphan, and I knew his story, and I was praying for him, and I wanted God to help him. But see, you can't help people that don't want to be helped, and they just got that slick mentality. So he was around me for a while, and he saw what I was doing, and I would tell him, I said, listen, I'm gonna be at such and such place tomorrow. I want you to be there. And so with the experience that I have, the skill set, the tenure that I have as it relates to business things, I got eyes everywhere. And when I say that, is that I've been doing this for so long, I can feel my audience. I can feel the people that surround me. I can feel my environment. I can walk up to a problem and I have a sense for it, almost like a sixth sense. So I know what's going on. I know what it's going to take. When I'm measuring people, I'm looking for certain qualities. Does this person have the propensity to be a good journeyman, or have, is he teachable? Can I pass on the skill set? So I'm doing it all. So I'm giving you instructions, but when I give you instructions, with those instructions, what I'm saying is far more than what you're hearing. So if I tell you something, I am looking at a whole lot of things in response. And just because I'm not on the job does not mean that I can't see. I can see what I told you to do, even if I'm a mile or 10 miles or 70 miles away from you. I still know what you're doing. Number one is I can call you and ask you certain questions. Number two, I can come back and I can look and I can tell exactly. I'm seeing now. I'm seeing what you're doing. So with tenure, with education, with certain skill sets, you learn all these things. Long story, the short of a long story. So I saw this guy, he broke off from me. He didn't want to go through the process. So he broke off from me and he said that I'm going to do what you do. Now that's being anti. And I'm saying, well, I said, I guess you can do it. I don't know how that's going to work though, bro. I don't know how long that's going to last. Well, he didn't listen to me. He went off. He kind of done his own thing. I saw him later and he was telling me, he says, I'm the next Donnie. I'm the next Donnie. I said, well, number one, you want to be the next you, whoever you are. You don't want to be me. You just be who you are. He said, no, I'm the next Donnie. He says, I'm taking over. Well, that's a good thing. And I says, okay. So he went out and, got some equipment for his business and, this, that, and the other. And he was talking to me about things. And as he was talking, it was a really good talk. I mean, I was like, man, you doing that and you making this kind of money. And then I was telling him, I said, you in this business, I said, you have to be fair. I said, you can't overcharge people just because there's nobody out there to do the work. I said, the other thing, I said, you have to give quality work. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on with this. And so he was not a quality worker. He was one that wanted to make a fast dollar, just do it really, really quick. And so, I'm trying to see where I'm at on time here. And so as I talked to him, I couldn't get through. I'm saying all that to say this, is that he started a business. He wanted to make fast money. He didn't want to go through the process. He didn't want to learn the business. He didn't want to have the integrity for a good business, the character for a good business. In other words, he just wanted to, he saw the end result. And because he saw the end result, he wanted a piece of it. And he says, I can do that. And so he went on to try to do that. I said that to say this: in this walk with Jesus, in the blessings that Jesus has for your life, you're not going to be able to get it by skipping the process. You're not going to be able to get that. I know a lot of people want to get it that way, but you're not going to be able to get it that way. Why? Because God is requiring a life. It is requiring a process. And so for those of you that want to be blessed in 2021 and in this next season, you got to hunker down and do what the word is calling you to do. Do what's required in the word of God in order for you to be blessed of God, highly favored and anointed, to withstand the test of time. Other than that, what you do is going to be built on sinking sand. And even as it relates to this brother that I was really trying to help, and it looked good. He had some money, he was flexing and showing me, look, man, this is how much money I got now, blah, blah. I said, dude, you are on a collision path. You are a train wreck waiting to happen. Because number one, you never talk about your money. You never flaunt your money. You don't show nobody your money. But you can't tell people nothing. It's like Mike Tyson. He was making all those millions of dollars, but he lost all of it. Why? Because he was never taught. He never had nobody to groom him, to shape him. And I think he's doing better now, but look at what all he went through. He had to lose everything in order to gain everything. So God wants to give us a whole lot, and he wants to take us from, like he did the children of Israel, take them out of Egypt to where they didn't have enough. And that speaks to a lot of us right now. We don't have enough. We're living week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Take you from there into the wilderness where you're getting fed daily. Give us this day our daily bread, manna for today. And that is just enough to getting you to Canaan land, to where it's a place that's overflowing with milk and with honey. Grapes are so big that it takes two men to carry your harvest. But that's going through a process. So he takes you out of Egypt through the wilderness where he conditions you. And then from there, you are qualified to go into that place of more than enough or abundance. And so with that, you have to, even like when the Last Supper, the Lord he takes the bread and he takes the cup, which is his blood, and he blesses it. Because without being blessed, you wouldn't be able to stand. And I heard a preacher say this, so I don't want to take credit for it, but it's true. Without the blessing, you can't be broken. You got to be blessed to be broke. And when I say broke, I ain't talking about literally broke, like money. I ain't talking about to monetize something. I'm talking about to be broken, to go through something. Because when you look at that, when Jesus shared that, what happened to him was going to happen to them. So he was showing them, I'm the blessing. And I'm going to take me and I'm going to break me and distribute me to you. So he blessed them, then he took the bread and he broke it, and then he gave. That's the process. So conversely, just like my guy that was working for me, he wanted to skip steps and just go from point A to point B and basically dominate. And that was the whole objective, was to dominate this environment that he was in. But in order for you to be a teacher, you first must be taught. So this is part of the process of not skipping the steps. And so he was not willing to go through an apprenticeship as I went through an apprenticeship, and as I went through a whole lot of schooling that was grueling for me. I actually went through 2 apprenticeship programs, which was equivalent of 8 years of higher education. So it's basically like I've been in school my whole life. I just live in school. I don't even know what it's like to be out of school now. But what he wanted to do was, he just wanted to skip and to go on and be successful. Well, you can't do it like that. And that's what I'm trying to say to you, is that Christ, God, is requiring us to go through something in order to be rewarded with something, and especially for it to be sustainable. You know, the thing that kind of gets me a little bit, and I know I've been talking and I'm going to unfold this because I don't want to sound like I'm bashing leadership in the church and pastors and stuff like that. But the thing that gets me, and I've been seeing it more and more prevalent in the last 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years, is that churches are being turned over to pastors or these preachers that have not put in the work. And I don't know what's going on with how this is happening, where they just giving it to them. And then they expect they expect things to be like it was with the one that was in before they got there. Let me just share this with you. First of all, when you talk about anniversaries, if you just coming on the scene for 1 year and they have a history of doing an anniversary that you're walking into, and so this is the expectation. Okay, I get that part. But you have to look at it from a convictional standpoint. What is your conviction? You can't just walk into a seat and say, give me what the last man had. You don't know what price that last man paid. Now, I know that the labor is worthy of his hire. We get all that. I understand the part about a double portion. I get all that. I get the things that are laid out for men of God. I get the part where you don't muzzle the mouth of an oxen. I get all that. But you have to put in some work. See, faith without works is dead. So when you come into a situation and you have no conviction, you don't really have even an understanding of what the word is. So you want dividends to be paid to you based off of another man's work. And I get that, and I understand generational wealth and inheritance and all that. But I'm talking about sustainability here. First of all, when you liken yourself to a position like this, you have to ask yourself, and this is what a lot of preachers are not doing, what audit have you done? What audit? There should be an audit on behalf of your ministry, the work that you have done, that have went out to your people, your congregation, that is substantive. And that's quantitatively and qualitatively, both. Quantitatively meaning that based upon my tenure here, I can go and I can look at the ecclesia, the members, and I can say, this is the way that you came outside of my ministry, and this is where you are now. Okay, so you came and you was making $50 a week. Now you're making $1,050 a week. That's quantitative. Qualitative is that you audit the process in terms of their integrity and their character. So what type of skill set, what maturity have you went from the time that you started under my ministry, me being a shepherd over you, to where you are right now? Has your love increased? Has your kindness increased? If I talk to your children, what will your children say about you from a qualitative standpoint? What will the people around you, what will your church family say about you from a qualitative standpoint? These are all audits and measurements that can be put in place to tell you, there's a mark that will tell you how well you are doing as a shepherd. Now, this is not carte blanche, and this is not the rule of thumb, but it is something that can be put in place before we get so haughty and high-minded and thinking that we are deserving of so much. I'm saying all this to say that it's going to cost you something. See, in order for you to deliver and be bring about transformation in people's lives, it's going to cost something. It's going to cost them something because they are getting this word. God is transforming their lives, but He's transforming it through you. But it's going to cost you something because you have to be before God to get the revelation. You have to live a life. You have to present your life a living sacrifice. So that is going to require some surrendering. That is going to require you giving up things that you love a lot, to put that before God, to lay it down and make this a ministry sacrifice. And I'm saying this principle works across the board. So just like it was with the guy that was working for me for a while, and he says, okay, now I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do what you do. You can do what I do. And I'm not saying that some people, there's an anomaly. And if there's an anomaly, then that's something that God is, because we can't shut God down. He does take certain people and raise them up. They just go up and it appears that they skip steps, but God does something miraculously in them, or a prodigy. And in this particular case with this guy that was working for me, he was not a prodigy by no stretch. But in those cases, there are times when there are the exceptions to it. But for the most part, you cannot skip the process. You can't put the wagon before the horse. And so I'm saying that from a practical standpoint, along with a spiritual standpoint, we have to understand the practicality and the spirituality of life and development in Jesus Christ. And so this is just something, a little something to add on to what I said earlier. But I hope you've been blessed by this, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to start sharing some things with you as it relates to where we are in the earth today, right now, real time, and what we need to prepare for, because there is something that is coming. And I'm talking about it is here in 2021, that if the church and we individually as men and women of God are not prepared for it, we are going to fall on some very, very hard times. And I'm going to be talking about that in my up and coming videos. But I'm trying to lay a foundation right now as to what you need to consider in order for you to meet the qualifications for God to bless you and for you to be a blessing to others as we migrate into this new dimension, this new era, this new time. And it's upon us right now. This thing that happened at the Capitol building the other day, that wasn't nothing. You just keep watching. You ain't seen nothing yet. Trust and believe. And I'm going to talk to you about things that are going to happen. And God gave me a revelation, gave me a word. I'm going to share it with you, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to do it in my my next video or two, as it relates to putting together the provisions for what's next. Okay. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and I'm going to see you at the top. God bless.